Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are Linda and John.
We are so incredibly happy to have you joining us today on the Learn English at Ease podcast.
We really are. We know you are working hard on your language journey, and we're just so proud of you for showing up today.
Absolutely. Every single time you listen, you are getting a little bit better. And today's deep dive is going to be so much fun.
It really is, because we are talking about a topic that is, well, it's essentially universal language. Coffee.
Yes, coffee. It's not just a drink. It is a massive part of everyday English conversation.
But before we dive into the details, we have a small favor to ask. If you want to support us and keep improving your English every week, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Yeah.
It really helps our channel grow.
It really does. Thank you so much for that. So let's talk about coffee.
Right, because when we talk about coffee, we are really talking about something called coffee house culture.
Oh, I love that phrase.
It is this idea that cafes function as a second home or a third place for people. You have your actual home, you have your office, and then you have the cafe, where you go to just relax, work, and connect.
It really is the ultimate community space. But, before you can sit down and enjoy that second home, you have to know what to actually order.
That is so true. Ordering can be really stressful for English learners.
Yeah.
So let's break down the core coffee vocabulary, starting with the absolute foundation, the espresso.
Right, the espresso. It's a small, very strong black coffee. It's basically a tiny punch of energy.
And a quick pronunciation tip for everyone listening, it is pronounced espresso. Notice the S sound.
Yes, great point. A lot of people accidentally say espresso with an X, but we want to avoid that. Just a soft S, espresso.
Exactly. So if you take that tiny shot of espresso and you add a lot of hot water to it, you get an Americano.
Which is incredibly popular here in the U.S. It's a bit milder.
But if you prefer milk, you are probably looking at a latte. A latte is espresso with lots of steamed milk. It is smooth, sweet, and feels kind of like a warm hug in a cup.
It really does. And then if you want something a little lighter, there is the cappuccino.
Right, the cappuccino. That one is espresso, steamed milk, but it has a very thick layer of foam on top, sometimes with a little cinnamon or chocolate sprinkled on it.
And you have to remember the golden cultural rule with cappuccinos. In Italy, this is strictly a morning drink.
Wait, really? Only in the morning?
Oh, absolutely. Italians consider all that heavy milk to be terrible for your digestion after a big lunch or dinner. So if you order one afternoon, you'll definitely get some strange looks.
That is so funny, but I guess it makes sense physiologically. Now, if we travel from Italy over to Australia and New Zealand, we find the flat white.
Ah, yes, the flat white. It is smaller and definitely stronger than a standard latte.
Exactly. And moving away from the hot drinks, we have to mention cold brew.
Which is just so refreshing.
It is, and the process is unique. You make it with cold water, and you just let it sit over the coffee grounds for 12 to 24 hours. It is served over ice, and it is incredibly smooth.
It really is. It takes away all the bitterness.
Right. And finally, we have the Frappuccino, or, as people often call it, a frap. But I have to say, a Frappuccino isn't really coffee. It's basically a milkshake masquerading as a morning drink.
Oh, come on. That is a little harsh, don't you think?
Think about it. It's just blended ice, heavy cream, and sugary syrups.
Well, yes, it is very sweet and it is very Instagrammable. I will give you that. But it's a fun gateway for people who maybe don't like the strong, bitter taste of black coffee.
Okay, that's fair. I'll let you have the Frappuccino. But knowing these drinks is only half the battle. Walking up to the barista, the person who makes the coffee, can make English learners panic.
It really can. So let's make it super easy. When you walk up, the barista will usually say something like, "What can I get for you?"
And the absolute best, most natural response is, "Can I have a vodka?" And then you say your drink. Like, "Can I have a latte, please?"
Yes. Can I have is the most polite and natural way to ask for something in English. It softens the request.
Exactly. You don't want to just say, "Give me a coffee." That sounds a bit too aggressive.
Right. So after you choose your drink, you need to pick a size. Normally, that is just small, medium, or large.
But if you go to Starbucks, they use completely different terminology. They use tall, grande, and venti.
Which can be so confusing.
It really is. I have a very embarrassing story about this. The first time I ever went to a Starbucks, I ordered a tall coffee because, well, I thought tall meant large, like a tall building.
Oh no! What
I
happened?
proudly ordered my tall coffee, and they handed me this tiny, small cup. I was so confused and disappointed.
That is hilarious, but honestly, it is such a common mistake. Tall means small, grande means medium, and venti means large.
Right. And once you get the size down, you might want to change the drink. English speakers love to change their orders.
We really do. And for our listeners, a great vocabulary word here is customizing. When you customize your drink, you change it to fit your personal taste.
Exactly. Like asking for extra espresso shots or saying no foam. And another great word is alternatives.
Oh, yes. Milk alternatives are huge right now.
Instead of regular cow's milk, you can ask for oat milk, almond milk, soy milk, or coconut milk.
Which is fantastic vocabulary to practice. So once you have your customized coffee, how do you talk about it in daily life?
Well, coffee is deeply woven into English idioms and everyday expressions. For example, a really common phrase is, let's grab a coffee.
Right. If someone says, let's do coffee sometime, it's just a casual invitation to hang out. It could be for business or even a romantic first date.
It's very low pressure. People also love to say, I need my morning coffee, or they'll talk about taking a coffee break at work.
A coffee break is a crucial part of the workday routine. It's when you step away from your desk for 10 minutes to rest.
And on social media, you might see people say, coffee is my love language, which is just a fun way to show that making coffee for someone is how they show care.
But my favorite expression has to be, I'm running on coffee.
Yes. For our English learners, let's deep dive into that phrasal verb, running on.
It is such a useful phrase. To run on something means to use it for power.
Right. Think of a helpful analogy here. Think about the human body like a car, just like a car runs on gas. When we are tired and haven't slept, our bodies use coffee as our fuel. We run on coffee.
That is a perfect way to explain it. It powers us through the day.
But, we've talked a lot about grabbing a coffee in English-speaking cultures. The actual ritual looks totally different depending on where you travel in the world.
Oh, a global coffee tour. Let's do it.
Let's start in Italy. In Italy, drinking coffee is fast and highly efficient. Yeah, don't sit down. You stand at the bar, drink your espresso in 1 or 2 quick sips, and you leave.
Whereas in the USA, it is all about speed and convenience, but in a different way. It is the coffee-to-go culture. Everyone is walking around with travel mugs.
Which I have to ask, doesn't the American to-go culture kind of ruin that peaceful coffeehouse culture we discussed earlier?
Well, what do you mean?
I mean, if everyone is just rushing in, grabbing a paper cup, and running to their car, we lose that beautiful community space. We lose the time to relax.
I see your point, but I have to disagree a little bit. I think it is about convenience. Modern life is busy, and taking that small comfort with you on your commute is just really practical.
I suppose that is a fair point. We do all have busy lives. Now, if we look at the UK, they are traditionally a tea-drinking nation.
They are, but they now have a vibrant coffee scene, heavily influenced by Australian and New Zealand immigrants who brought the flat white over.
It completely transformed the cafes in London. But if we want something totally different, we have to look at Turkey and the Middle East.
Oh, Turkish coffee is amazing. It's made in a special small pot called a şezve.
Right, a kizve.
Yeah.
And it is incredibly thick, sweet, and totally unfiltered.
Because it's unfiltered, there's this fascinating cultural practice called tasseography.
Yes, which is reading fortunes in the coffee grounds. Since the coffee is unfiltered, a thick layer of grounds is left at the bottom of the cup. You flip the cup over, and someone reads the patterns in the grounds to tell your future.
It's so magical. But to find the true origins of coffee, we have to go to Ethiopia?
The birthplace of coffee. I love the legend of Kaldi, the goat herder.
Oh, tell the story. It's so good.
So centuries ago, this goat herder named Kaldi noticed that his goats were eating these bright red berries from a tree. And suddenly the goats became incredibly
We're
energetic.
basically bouncing off the walls, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those red berries contained the very first coffee beans.
And today, the traditional Ethiopian coffee ceremony is a beautiful thing. It is focused heavily on slow hospitality and welcoming guests.
It is not a quick-to-go cup. It is a slow, deeply intentional process that takes hours.
So, whether you are having a fast espresso in Italy or participating in a slow ceremony in Ethiopia, the physical process of making coffee requires some fantastic advanced English verbs.
Let's do a quick vocabulary masterclass on the action verbs of coffee making. We already mentioned the noun, barista the professional maker. They even do latte art on the foam.
Yes. But the first action verb you need is grind, to grind the beans.
Right. For our learners, I really want to highlight the difference between grinding and our next word, brewing, because this is the chronological order of making coffee.
Good point. So first, you grind. Grinding means crushing a hard, solid object, the coffee bean, into tiny pieces. You grind it fine for espresso or coarse for a French press.
Exactly. You grind a solid. But then you brew the coffee. Brewing is the act of making the drink by mixing those crushed beans with hot water. You steep it in a liquid.
So remember the order. First you grind the solid, then you brew it with liquid.
Before you can even do that, though, someone has to roast the beans.
Roasting is basically heating the green coffee beans until they turn brown.
And you can have a light roast, which is very mild and delicate, or you can have a dark roast, which is much stronger and more bitter.
And finally, we have decaf, which is short for decaffeinated. This is the verb to decaffeinate, removing the caffeine for people who love the taste but don't want the energy boost.
Which is perfect for an after-dinner drink if you still want to sleep.
It really is. Wow, we have covered so much vocabulary today.
We really have. And it leaves us with something fascinating to ponder. Given that coffee has its own vocabulary, it creates global second homes, and it literally dictates our daily routines. Is coffee actually the ultimate universal language?
That is a wonderful, provocative thought. I really think it might be.
It brings people together all over the world. Now, we would love to hear from you, our listeners. We want you to practice your English right now by leaving a comment below.
Yes. Tell us, what is your coffee order? Do you like it hot or cold, strong or sweet? And what time of day do you drink it?
Writing even just one sentence is fantastic practice. Remember, consistency is the key, just like a good cup of coffee.
That is so true. Practice a little bit every day and you will see incredible progress.
Thank you all so much for joining us today on this deep dive. Be sure to check out our next episode for more English practice. Have a wonderful day, keep learning, and we will see you next time.
Bye, everyone. Keep up the great work.